Hey there, hey friends, and welcome to this week's episode of the Lindsey Elmore Show. And today we're going to be talking about fitness for every woman. First up, I'll be talking with my high school friend, Dr. Stacie Graham. She is the founder of OYA Retreats and the co-host with me at our Centering Yoga Retreat in Greece this October. After that, I'll be talking with Leslee Bender, creator of the Bender Method of Fitness. She's going to be talking to us about how to stay healthy and well throughout all of the years of life. Thanks so much for listening to the show this week. If you want to send us a suggestion, a comment, or a question, all you have to do is head to lindseyelmore.com/podcast. That's lindseyelmore.com/podcast. Now, let's talk to Stacie, and after that, we'll be talking to Leslee. Welcome to the Lindsey Elmore Show, a podcast that helps you find fulfillment amidst chaos. On this show, I interview thought leaders, doctors, creatives, spiritual gurus, and game changers who inspire you to pursue your dreams, overcome obstacles, and leave your mark. Forbes and The Atlantic report that nearly half of Black women over the age of 20 have heart disease. 77% are obese or overweight, and 63% pray for better health. Yet, only 17% rely on a spiritual exercise practice like yoga to help them stay well. Overwhelmingly, the images that we see in magazines are of young, thin, white, and apparently upper-class women. This is ironic because the origins of yoga are very male, poor, and they span all age groups. The divide has gotten so wide in the practice of yoga that though 15% of Americans practice, an astonishing 4/5 of them are white. Today, we're talking with Dr. Stacie Graham about how we can best bridge this gap. Stacie supports companies, teams, and individuals in reaching their fullest potential. She uses practices and tools such as mindful leadership, cultural attunement, as well as emotional and social intelligence. Her holistic wellness brands, OYA, Body, Mind, Spirit Retreats, is dedicated to underrepresented communities that are typically underserved by mainstream wellness. With a master's in economics and a PhD in psychology, she has lived all over the world and helps people cultivate a nuanced understanding of the underlying drivers of human motivation. Stacie Graham, welcome to the Lindsey Elmore Show.
Thanks, Lindsey. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to be here. As a side note, Stacie and I have known each other for a long time. We actually went to high school together. And so it's great to see someone that I have known for so long do such powerful work in a space that needs attention.
Absolutely.
You started OYA as a safe space for women of color to come, feel supported, and feel empowered. Now, there are people that raise eyebrows about dedicated spaces specifically for women, and there are even more people that raise eyebrows when you say that this is a space solely for women of color. Why did you decide to focus on this demographic, and why do you think it's important?
Sure. So OYA Retreats is named after the deity Oya, who is the goddess of transformation in the Yoruba tradition, which comes from Nigeria, actually.
Oh, wow.
Present-day Nigeria. And I have had a bit of backlash, but I have to say not so much. I think what's important in understanding these spaces is while we do offer yoga, it's more generally a healing-centered approach to holistic wellness. What that means is we create spaces where women can come together and simply be. And in order to do that, to really create healing, they have to know that it is a sacred space and it is also a safer space. And for it to be a safer space, we can't be doing racism 101.
Right. Yes. Okay. All right.
If someone is talking about an incident that was triggering or traumatizing to them, then they need to be able to do that in a way that they know they'll be heard, they'll felt seen, and they won't have to explain the basics of that setup. So for example, in your opening, you started with some interesting figures around health outcomes for Black women specifically. And I think that's extremely important. But what's often neglected in those conversations is what is underlying those outcomes?
Mm-hmm.
Why are Black women suffering disproportionately to other women? And why do we know so little about their health?
Well, and we can certainly cite statistics about access to health care, economic disparities that make women less likely to be able to pay for care, women who are stuck with childbirth. And so, but what are some of the things that maybe we haven't addressed that aren't as easy to sum up in just a statistical number?
Sure. So there are currently there are studies being carried out, for example, on maternity and mortality in Black women when in childbirth. And what a lot of people are finding is there are these intangible circumstances that are affecting their everyday, right? Mm-hmm. That lead to more stress and higher blood pressure and so forth. Mm-hmm. And those little intangible things are the everyday racism, and other things. It's not only racism, but racism is at the root of all of it, right? So if a woman is working for little money and is experiencing a certain type of abuse in her workplace that she can't vocalize because she knows that it has to do with how her white male manager sees her, then that's a stress that she's holding inside. And of course, it's affecting the fetus inside of her as well.
Yes, absolutely. That subtle stress of just that tiny increase in cortisol, that tiny increase in our adrenaline, it feeds an undercurrent. Absolutely. So a fascinating study that I heard about on a podcast the other day said that they took a lot of urban environments, and I'm sorry I can't actually name the study or the authors. We'll look it up and get it in the pod. But it pointed to exactly what you're saying. Even if you control for income disparity, access disparity, urban environments versus educational disparities. Even if you control for all of that, there is something intangible. There is a historical trauma and a daily undercurrent that leads to some of these lack of access and lack of ability to see themselves in a role like, oh yeah, I can meditate. Oh yeah, I can do yoga. Oh yeah, I can access these points of hurt in the safe space. And so why do you think that a retreat is one of the ways that we can really delve deep and take care of these issues without, as you said, teaching Racism 101?
Sure. I think what we are able to create over the course of a retreat, whether it's a weekend or a week long, but even already on a weekend retreat, people come in on Friday, they're a bit flustered, they're a bit tired, they've been working, and so they're not really settled, right? So they arrive, they start meeting each other, they're talking a little bit, but their guard is still up because they're still bringing in with them the work week. Mm-hmm. By Saturday afternoon, it's a completely different atmosphere. Mm-hmm. And it's that time that people need to settle into a space, the energy of the space, but also the energy that other people are bringing into the space. Mm-hmm. The trust that you create after doing a few classes together, having a workshop together, exchanging things that are personal. Then the nervous system has calmed, the chatty mind is quieting, mm-hmm. and then it becomes possible to go deeper. So mm-hmm. on our retreats, the trendy terms are self-care and things like that. And I 100% believe in self-care, but a particular type of self-care. I'm not talking about going to the spa, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
It is. It's great. No, we love the spa, but it's not tapping into anything deep.
Right. So on our retreats, we do offer treatments such mm-hmm. as massage and Reiki. Because that's special. But more importantly, what we're doing is exchanging on and delivering everyday practices that our guests can integrate into their daily lives, such as mindfulness practice. We do visioning workshops. We we let guests exchange among each other. You know, what does your everyday look like, and what are you doing? What is your survival strategy?
Yeah, yeah. And how do you access those tiny luxuries throughout the day that create that buzz of self-care? But to me, self-care is so much more. It's about crafting community, which is something that you've done. And one of the things that I like about OYA is that you say when you craft this consciousness inside of you, it allows you to go out into the community and spread that consciousness to the world at large.
Absolutely.
So, given the fact that there is so much strong spirituality in the Black and brown communities, why do you think spiritual practices like mindfulness, like retreats, like yoga have not caught on? And why do we have this concept that you have to be thin, white, and rich to practice mindfulness?
That's a good question.
A loaded one, but we'll dive in
a little bit. I think there are a few reasons for it. On the one hand, it has to be said that there is a notion that yoga specifically makes you Hindu.
Okay, all right.
And so a lot of people, and it has to be said that there is a Hindu nationalist movement in India currently that is attaching itself to yoga and saying that that is true. In its origins, it's not the case. It was always viewed as a philosophy, and there's no religious language in the ancient texts that we still use today. So I think there's misinformation about whether yoga is a religion or not, and some people may feel conflicted. However, people of all faiths practice yoga. I think also what you see is, marketing at its best, right? So if I am a millennial, let's say, which I'm obviously not because I'm saying if I'm a millennial.
Yeah.
If I'm a young person who goes onto Instagram and just, puts in hashtag yoga, there are millions and millions of images with that hashtag. And I don't have the hard facts, but I would say probably at least 90% of those images are of white people practicing yoga. Some will be of men doing some crazy, exhausting handstand or one-handed handstand.
Yes.
And then the rest will be typically of a skinny white woman doing the splits or, doing the standing splits or taking her feet to her head and all of these things that have very little to do with the practice of yoga. One of my teachers always says, we're not here to do a party trick.
Oh, wow.
Doing acrobatics. There's much more to this posture than, bringing your shin to your nose.
Yeah, because if you bring your shin to your nose and tear your hamstring in the process, you've not made it anywhere. How do you handle discussions of cultural appropriation? How do you, for someone like me who practices yoga that looks back and goes, man, there's this whole culture of brown people that created something that now, for some reason, my color skin tone gets to be the face of it. How do you handle those discussions at your retreats, in your normal life? And how do you help to bridge the gap and bring people together and just go, no. Wellness and fitness is for everyone?
First and foremost, I always mention the names of the teachers that I've learned from and the teachers of my lineage. Obviously, in today, we know that some of the lineages have had problematic leaders, right?
Yes, we do.
So I'm thankful that I don't come from those lineages. So we also have to be careful about the adoration of the guru, right?
Yes, absolutely.
But all of the teachers that I learned with, even the teachers who are from the West and who are white, there's not a class that goes by where they don't mention the names of the teachers from whom we have that practice. And so I think it's very important that we remind people, this didn't just come from me. I didn't just invent this. This has a very long history. And there are people who came before me who for whom I'm grateful because we have this practice from them. So I think that's one way of doing it, just being really honest about where it comes from and being mindful of the fact that what we're talking about as yoga is actually just asana, which is the Sanskrit word for posture, right? There are 8 limbs to this practice, posture being the 3rd limb. The first 2 limbs often get forgotten, but they're very important, and they're how I start most of my practices, which are not practicing harm towards others and not practicing harm towards myself. And I think with just those tidbits, obviously some classes are only 60 minutes and it might feel like it's too much to bring in much more than that. But just that little bit can be the reminder that this practice is embedded in something much more than just fitness.
Yeah, I think that too many people look at Instagram and they look at those crazy images and they go, I can never do yoga because I can't do this. But for me in my practice, the greatest gift that yoga has brought me is being able to control my emotional response to the world around me. And the way that you do that is with pranayama. You have to control your breath, because when you are in those asanas, when you are in those postures, it gets intense and it starts bringing up emotions and
a lot
of them. And it is important that we craft safe space. And so you mentioned that we do have teachers in yoga history that have abused their rights as a teacher. What can students look out for to know that they are in a safe space, to know that they're in a potentially harmful space, and how do we do the most important work of all, which is actually paying attention to our intuition about that?
Actually, that's where I would have started, paying attention to our intuition. We are our greatest teachers, and that's actually what yoga teaches us. Your great yoga masters, if you will, always say that yoga can't be taught. You can't teach yoga, and that's true. Oh, you know your body better than anyone else. So if you find yourself in an environment where your boundaries aren't being respected, where you're not being asked for consent, or where you feel bullied, then that is not an environment, that's not a safe environment for you to practice in. So I try to remind people that sexual assault is kind of the climax, but a lot happens before you even get that far, right?
Absolutely.
Someone unwanted touch can be an adjustment that hurts your neck because you have a neck injury, and your teacher doesn't know that because they didn't ask that question, right? So there are a lot of things that can happen in a yoga class that remind you, actually, this isn't a teacher that I feel I can practice safely with, because they're not asking questions and they're not concerned with my well-being.
And I think that's really important. Just because you go to one yoga class and don't like it doesn't mean that you won't go to another one and absolutely love it. You have to have the flexibility to explore and to figure out, is this right for me, or is this just like, yikes? It doesn't even have to be yikes. It can just be like, I don't love the way this makes my body feel, and therefore I don't have to do it.
I absolutely agree.
So how do you, when you think about the overall impact of yoga, what do you think the greatest teachers of the practice of meditation and yoga in its full 8-limbed form can bring to one person, one community, and then the world?
I think that's a big question. To distill it down to the essence, I believe that a yoga teacher, including myself, we know that we're doing it right if people leave our class accepting themselves better, feeling better about their bodies, getting to know their bodies better, and in turn, in having that relationship with their bodies, better understanding why they react or respond to things in a certain way. To be reminded how they're connected with the rest of us. What I do to you, whether harmful or positive, is done to me, right? And then it's done to the wider community. And I feel like with a consistent yoga practice, we're reminded of that every time.
Yeah, we're reminded that everything is connected, that there's no difference between each of us. What about the woman who is perhaps overweight, has never seen a curvy girl do yoga, is maybe going like, I might think I might want to do yoga, but I'm not sure where to start. What are some of the most simple and basic things that anyone can do? You know, you've mentioned that doing no harm to self and doing no harm to others is a place to start. But when people want something tangible, like I want to wake up in the morning and I want to do these 3 things, like what are those few things that can just get somebody moving for the first time?
Well, I always encourage people, and it's not an easy task, but I do encourage people to find teachers that look like them. There are a lot of excellent, very mainstream teachers that we have today of different body shapes.
Yeah.
And they have made their classes accessible through the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So that it is possible, no matter how you look, no matter your ability, you can find a teacher who looks like you. It really is possible. If that feels maybe not where you can start, maybe you want to do something in person, which is completely understandable in the beginning, which is something I would also encourage to go to classes in person. I think to work yourself up to that, start with simple breathing exercises.
Yes, absolutely.
When I talk to my clients, I talk about 3 things. They know the questions. What is your wind down routine? Mm-hmm. What is your wake up routine? And what is your during the day when I'm stressed routine? And all of that is about the breath.
Yes, absolutely. So tell us about a simple breathing exercise that can help you with that wind down, wake up, and throughout the day while I'm stressed.
Sure. I think in a very simple one, well, unless it's the winter where you are, it's definitely winter where I am. So your nose may be runny or stuffed, but a simple practice is closing one nostril, inhaling through that nostril, the opposite nostril, then closing the other nostril and exhaling. Mm-hmm. And then just doing that in alternate rotation. So for example, if you close the right nostril, you inhale through the left nostril, then you hold the breath slightly, close the left nostril and exhale through the right nostril. Mm-hmm. And you just keep that cycle. And I use that example because that's actually a balancing practice.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it helps to bring the yin, the yang, all the nadis, all the like crazy things that people talk about in yoga. And I think that's one big takeaway that I've learned in my practice of yoga is you can't let the seeming foreign language be scary. Just embrace it and go with it all.
Absolutely. Being open and receptive is something that we talk about often in yoga, and most of us think that of ourselves, right? But we're not, right? Things feel unfamiliar or uncomfortable. We might be a bit hesitant. There's an inner resistance. And just taking note of that resistance, not judging yourself for it, not telling yourself what you should be doing. Take note of the resistance and do it anyway.
Oh, I love that. Take note of the resistance and do it anyway. Well, Stacie Graham, thank you so much for being here on the show today. Before I let you go, you up to do some lightning round questions?
Okay, I'll try.
Okay, you ready for this? All right, here we go. What is your number 1 strength?
I see people. See people where they are.
I love that. What do you struggle with?
Letting myself be seen.
Oh, what a beautiful, beautiful message right there. If you could say 1 or 2 words to your younger self, what would it be?
Stay true to yourself.
Yes, authenticity. It all comes back to it. What keeps you up at night?
These massive world problems that we have right now.
And you're like, just want to fix it now. Oh my gosh, yes, I know. We could go on a tangent, but we won't. We won't. Who has been your greatest inspiration?
Ooh, that is a hard one. My mother, actually. I know that sounds a bit like a cliche, but it's true. She's the reason that I founded OYA.
Well, tell us about that. What is it? What inspires you about your mom, and why did you go into this space with her as your inspiration?
Well, my mother died early due to heart disease, changed my life forever, obviously. And I just have always found it extremely important to understand that, yes, you might have responsibilities in this world. You might have caretaker duties as a mother and as the oldest of your family and all those things that she had. But if you're not taking care of yourself, you can't take care of anyone else.
Yeah, and that is just the philosophy that you're bringing to the world. And so to see it manifest so authentically in you is an inspiration for me, I know. God to you is
Love.
Yeah, love that just doesn't quit. I agree with that. So, well, Dr. Stacie Graham, thank you so much for being on the show today. It's been an honor to speak with you. If you would like to learn more from me and Stacie, we are hosting a retreat this fall in October in Greece. We're going to be in Santorini. I picked Santorini.
You did?
Because it's been a lifelong goal of mine to get to go, and Stacie was kind enough and bold enough and brave enough to see the vision of it all. So to sign up for that retreat, Stacie, tell them where they go to get a ticket.
Absolutely. So you can find, there are still tickets available via my website, OYA Retreats. That's OYA Retreats.com.
All right. Thank you so much. Hope to see all of you in Greece. Are you a yogi or a fitness expert and you have big dreams of creating your own brand, but you don't know how to put those dreams into action? Brand Strategies Lab is the place to turn your ideas into the nuts and bolts that you need to create, revitalize, or expand your brand. It's an online business training course that helps you decide who you are, what you sell, and who will buy it. It's hosted on a brand new social media platform called Channels. If you love Marco Polo, video chats, and Snapchat, then you will love Channels. I created Brand Strategies Lab following more than 10 years of business coaching, mentorship, reading, personal growth, and entrepreneurship. To find out more and to be the first to access this training, head to www.lindseyelmore.com/BSL. That's www.lindseyelmore.com/BSL. I'll be chatting with Leslee Bender, who is an advocate for fitness for every woman at every age. She has been in the fitness industry for over 30 years and is the creator of the Bender Ball method, which is a safe core training method that protects the back. Women of all ages deserve to be physically fit, but there are a ton of misconceptions about fitness as we age. Older adults think that avoiding movement is the best way to prevent falls, that cardiovascular fitness is only beneficial to the heart. People think that it's too late to start a fitness routine and that exercise has to be painful because of challenges like arthritis. Unfortunately, this means that 42% of women between the ages of 75 to 85 cannot stand for more than 15 minutes. 66% of women in this same age bracket cannot lift 10 pounds. And 62% of women struggle to stoop or bend over. This increases the risk of falls and life-altering bone breakage. In fact, women who are aged between 65 and 69 are 5 times more likely to die within simply 1 year after breaking a hip. Leslee is the director of the I Am Ageless Now program. This program is more than just training. It's a lifestyle that helps women live physically fit and agelessly. She lives in Florida and she trains at her Applied Functional Movement Studio and Club Pilates. Leslee Bender, thank you so much for coming and being a guest on the Lindsey Elmore Show.
Thank you so much. I'm honored that you asked me to be on, and I hope I can inspire women of all ages, no matter how old you are or how young you are, that movement is necessary.
Absolutely.
Absolutely necessary. And as you mentioned a moment ago, as you said, that so many people think that, exercise, no pain, no gain. And I come from that era. I've been in the industry for over 30 years. And back in the day, we really didn't have accessibility to foam rolling and yoga, Pilates, and the different mindful kind of exercise programs that exist today. And so consequently, I am a new recipient of a knee replacement. And that is probably one of the most horrible, surgeries
experiences.
that you go through. And I literally rehabbed myself through movement and a very anti-inflammatory nutritional program. And I'm back on my bike, and I'm very close to doing everything I wanted to do, and is to where most people are still hobbling around.
Absolutely.
So it
Well,
can be done.
yeah, absolutely. You've been in the industry for a really long time. When you started, it was probably all cardio and fat-free diets and Jane Fonda and jazzercise. And like you said, we've seen an era of extreme workouts like P90X and CrossFit, celebrity workouts that just aren't sustainable. And right now, we're really in the plant-based eating and the Peloton era. How is your approach to training, and how has your opinions on how we're best supposed to move changed over time, and especially as you've grown older yourself?
Well, great question. I would have to say that that we have a lot of accessibility to different types of training modalities. And I tell my clients, you have to do what makes you happy. You don't have to feel like you've got to go into one of these, boot camp studios because your friend's doing it, and yet you have knee and back pain. You're only going to exacerbate it and probably cause an acute injury that might lead you to surgery. So with that being said, I feel like it's about now training smarter than harder, really, no matter what age you are.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love that. Train smarter, not harder.
Yeah. I even see with the younger clients are still pushing themselves. And now that I am where I am in my age, and the fact that I've gone through the surgery, it's truly made me a better trainer because I can empathize and sympathize with this thing called pain. And I just think that a lot of trainers do not understand that they're pushing their clients into things that they shouldn't be doing. Unless you're training for specificity, like a triathlon or something like that, there is no reason to be killing yourself in a workout.
Absolutely.
I mean, at the end of the day, what is your goal?
Sure.
Is it you want to look good in a bikini, but you don't care whether you can walk in 20 years? So the mentality of fitness is really kind of all over the place right now. We've got very mindful trainers who really do care about the fact that they want their clients to have a better quality of life. And then there's other trainers that just, do not have the education that they should have working with clients.
So what else does the data teach us about people who live sedentary versus people who make the conscious choice to move?
Well, sadly, there's probably, I would say 60% or more of our population doesn't move. And as you know, the obesity crisis in our country and the opioid crisis, it's all really tied into one thing, if you will. And I feel like, again, let's try to get people to do simplistic things. Get a tennis ball, massage your feet, get up and do some simple stretches. If I could get people to say, all right, for 10 minutes a day, that's all I'm asking. I'm not asking for you to work out an hour. In 10 minutes a day, I can help you move better and be pain-free. Will you do it? I'm asking for 10 minutes.
I'm already saying yes. That's all. I want to be.
Right?
I want to live healthier for a longer period of time and move with ease. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, our goal is in the I Am Ageless Now program is teaching people to move 10 minutes a day. Start there. See how you feel. then you start adding on things that feel good to you. And at least that way we're getting people moving. And the ultimate goal is to get that sedentary person moving and feeling good. But if you think about gyms, probably right about now, the membership is starting to drop off, or the amount of people in classes is dropping off. The January, rush has happened.
Right.
People have not seen results. They're sore, they're tired, or they're injured, and they're not going back. And we in the fitness industry are responsible for people as far as getting them to make those positive changes little by little. And it's not about let's go in and kill yourself and let's put you on a 500 calorie a day diet, because that's unrealistic.
Yeah, it's not sustainable.
Yeah,
it's not
so
sustainable.
We have to be smart and say, all right, here are the ingredients for that decreases inflammation in your body. Are you willing to give up things like dairy and gluten and meat and things of this nature that cause inflammation? And of course, it takes discipline to do it.
Yeah.
But once you do it, and I have so many clients that have gone, basically in this direction, and they feel so good.
Right.
And then the weight starts to come off. It's like the chicken or the egg. So I don't really get people to, all right, you got to lose this weight. It's about, I need you to feel good. Then we start working on, the components of your exercise program being, all right, let's add more cardio into your program.
Yep.
Because you can do it now.
Absolutely. Well, before you go today, I would love to ask you a few questions in our lightning round. You up for it?
Go for it.
No right or wrong answers. Whatever comes to mind is the correct answer. Here we go. What is your number one strength?
My number one strength would be inspiring others to do their best.
Oh, what is the thing that you struggle with?
I would say for me, what I struggle with is my frustration with the fitness industry, that there is such a big diversity between educations for trainers, and that I feel like there should be a stricter guideline, as there is for like estheticians, that you have to go through this certain training and understand the human body.
Wow. So that's an interesting thing, because let's say that, somebody heard this show today and they are super inspired and they really want to get started and they want to find a trainer in their area. What are some things that you would tell them to look out for as they begin working with a trainer?
Great question. Well, you can have credentials, like tons of credentials, and you can't train yourself out of a paper bag. So,
okay.
I know myself personally, looking for a trainer, I'm going to ask for referrals.
Okay.
So in other words, I would want to know, who has he trained, or she, and may I talk to that person? It depends on my goal. Like if I was doing rehabilitative training, I would want to be able to say, okay, so how many people has this trainer rehabilitated back to function and, back to life? Or is this trainer has expertise in nutrition? Yeah. Are they a licensed nutritionist, or are they just trying to sell a supplement?
Right.
So I really think that I would look for referrals. Credentials are incredibly important to me, just because I have so many of them, but I feel like, what has that trainer done? Who have they worked with? And what is their expertise, rather than just walking in and hiring someone.
Well, and this brings up a point that I didn't know until just now. It makes sense now that you say it, but I don't think many people are aware that different trainers have different specialties. They have different clientele. So a trainer that you might hire when you're 20 years old and you want to do your first 5K is not necessarily the same trainer that you would work with for the 12 weeks following a hip replacement surgery.
Right.
Very interesting.
Think about okay, great point. I want to do a 5K. I want to find somebody who actually does 5Ks, somebody that actually is a competitive athlete. They know how to train injury-free. That would be my suggestion, But here's the deal. This is the problem. People hire trainers, both male or female, based on the way that they look. Oh, that trainer looks really good. They're really lean. They're cut. I'm going to train with that person. Yeah, but what that person is doing for their body is not right for your body. We're all built so differently, right?
So fascinating.
Don't hire a trainer based on the way that they look.
Okay. Don't hire a trainer based on the way that they look.
Yeah. I mean, just because they're pumped, they're all muscled up doesn't mean that they necessarily know how to train you.
Absolutely. And I think that I know I personally, this has been put into my face because when I first started practicing yoga, I was like, the yogi has to look this way. And now I've had yogis that are male, are female, are what I would say underweight, are overweight. I have seen women of all sizes do yoga. Yep. And so I think that is fascinating. Don't hire a trainer based on the way that they look. Look for skill sets and credentials.
Absolutely. Well, and that goes into, the whole thing of discrimination, right? For example, again, is if we're only hiring based on looks, you don't walk into a nail salon and go, I'm gonna hire that manicurist based on the way she looks. You're hiring, or you're sitting down based on, whether that's a good manicurist or not, right? Or better yet, having somebody do your hair, and usually most hairdressers get their business how? Referrals.
Word of mouth. Yeah, you're not going to sit down and let somebody cut your hair that you have not at least heard from someone that this person knows what they're doing. That's such a
it's
such
like
a great
the difference
comparison.
Walking into Supercuts versus walking into a salon that that the credibility, that person's gone to an Aveda school or whatever the case may be. And we have to look at trainers the same way and find out, a great example, yoga. I went and took a yoga class. And I looked at this guy and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't imagine he's an instructor, but I thought I'm going to give him credit. Best class I've ever had in my entire life.
Wow.
But my first opinion was, wow, he doesn't look that fit, but he absolutely was incredible. And my mind changed within 5 minutes of that class, but I was guilty of it. I thought, and here's this person that's had over, 10,000 hours of training in India and everywhere else. And he was absolutely amazing. So we have to not be so judgmental and realize, what can this trainer give me? Because at the end of the day, I'm hiring that trainer to help me become a better person.
Yes. Oh, that is such great advice. If you could say one word to your younger self, what would it be?
I would say preservation.
Oh.
So at 60, I'm still doing what I love to do. I still water ski, I still snow ski, but I am religious about doing my stretches in the morning and my foam rolling, which I didn't do 30 years ago. And maybe yes, maybe no, I could have prevented my knee replacement.
Oh, wow.
So I would say preservation and embrace who you are. Wow. We're not perfect.
Absolutely. No, none of us are perfect. That is absolutely a fact. What keeps you up at night?
Oh God. Well, I would have to say I am a perfectionist. So I worry about if I'm doing a presentation, am I going to make my flight? Am I going to deliver the presentation, to the very best of my ability? Who are the clients going to be? Who's listening to me? And I'm one of these people that is a pleaser, and I want everybody to walk away with a great experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the perfectionism, I think, has served you well in a lot of ways because you have created a craft that not many people have. Like, you really understand the body and how to take care of it, and you have the discipline to do it yourself, which not all trainers do and not all people do. There's the old adage, those who can't do teach. And I know when I'm out there teaching people about health and wellness, it's important to me that I also attempt to put my best foot forward as far as
you got to walk the walk and talk the talk, and it would be an oxymoron if I'm talking about anti-inflammatory, and then I decided, and I didn't tell anyone that, oh, by the way, I drink a milkshake every day.
Right.
So, and again, I mean, we can all have little cheat days, and that's okay, but at the end of the day, your body is your temple, and how you take care of it and is going to dictate how you feel the rest of your life.
Well, Leslee Bender, thank you so much.
Thank you so much
for being on the Lindsey Elmore Show. If you are looking for a trainer or if you are looking to live agelessly, please go check out Leslee's work. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Appreciate it. Bye-bye. Have you always wanted to do yoga but are unsure where to start? Well, one of the easiest ways to get going is to simply use some essential oils to empower and invigorate your yoga practice. If you head to my website, I've got a free download for you today. It leads you through how to use essential oils with each of your chakras, which are energy centers all throughout your body. Not only will you get an essential oil blend, but you will also get an affirmation that you can use to fully embrace the power of each chakra. If you would like to pick up the download, head to www.lindseyelmore.com/chakra. That's www.lindseyelmore.com/CHARKA. The Lindsey Elmore Show is written and produced by me, Lindsey Elmore. Show segments are produced by Sue Procco and Kelsey Lorman. Production design, sound design, and editing is by Jive Media. If you have a question about this or any other episode of the podcast, send us an email to hello@lindseyelmoreshow.com. And hey, since you're still here, take a moment to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. And while you're at it, go over and follow us on Instagram @Lindsey Elmore Show. This helps us bring the pod to more people.